Hey, this is John Petrucci, and I'd like to show you something that's very useful to me as a player for both melodic and shred playing, and it has to do with using shapes in order to learn the guitar neck and to kind of break things down. So it's very simple, it's very basic, but we're going to expand on that eventually. And it all stems from 3 notes per string scales, but played on 2 strings, so there's going to be 6 notes in each shape. So all of these examples are in the key of E minor and actually start on the root E on the D string. And the technique for playing them is going to be consistent throughout as far as picking. So you start on a downstroke, you play down, up, down on the first string, and then up, down, up on the second string. There are 3 notes per string, and basically all you need to do is conform to the notes that are in E minor. So there's going to be 1 sharp on F sharp. So starting on E, the first one is here. And then what you do is you move to the next scale tone after the first one that you just played. So we started on E, then we're going to move to an F sharp. Conform your fingers to the key of E minor. All the shapes will be slightly different. Well, there'll be a couple of similar ones, but they'll be mostly different. So the next one. And then the last one is a repeat of the first one. So now that we got those shapes out of the way, the next thing I want to talk about is how you take those shapes, play them on other string sets, and then eventually link them together to create full scales. So the cool thing about this is that if you first memorize those shapes and you get them under your fingers, you will be able to play the scale shapes a lot easier, and it's a simpler way than just kind of memorizing all these different large 6-string scale shapes. So here's an example of that. I'll start playing them between the low E and A, and then also between the B and E to show you what I'm talking about, because the shapes are going to be exactly the same. Okay, so here is what they would look like starting on the low E. In this case, the first available note in the key other than the open string is F sharp. So we're going to start with this shape that's 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, and you're going to recognize that as the one that we played in the 4th position from the other string set, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. It's the beauty of guitar is that these shapes will repeat all over the place in different octaves. So here it is down there. Okay, and then likewise, if we go between the B and the E, you're going to see those shapes as well. Now we can really start anywhere, but just to show you how the octave repeats, I'll start on E, which is on the 5th fret of the B string. All right, so the shapes will be exactly the same. This one will be exactly the same. This one, exactly the same. So here they are. So now that you got that concept down, if you memorize those shapes, you're going to be really at an advantage, because you're going to see those all over the neck and really in any key, depending on where you consider the root to be. So they're all transposable. Only place you're going to have a little bit of an issue is between the G and the B. And it's just basically, not to panic, it's just that it's going to be offset by a fret, really. So, for example, the shape that started on, let's say the shape that we started on E before. So this one here. So that's exactly the same down an octave, right? But when you get to E on the G string, you can't go because the B string is not tuned in a fourth. So you just have to shift the second part of it up a half step. All right, so it's the only thing to watch out for. And all of those shapes are going to be, going to have that kind of like diagonal look to them, right? So anything, notice that my first finger is always shifting a fret in order to accommodate. A good way to think about it, you can certainly think about it in the sense that your hand is shifting up. But in a broader sense, the first thing that I said was that you're just really moving your fingers so that they accommodate to the notes in the key. So if you're playing and you're over here on B, you're not going to play an E flat because that's not in the key. So you just, by knowing that, you can do it by ear, right? You know it's wrong. You know it has to be there. So you can do it by ear, you can do it by shape, or you can do it by playing the correct notes that are in the key and conforming your fingers at all times.